Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're diving into the world of lab reports, breaking down the process into manageable steps. Whether you're a student or a curious mind, mastering the art of lab reports is essential. So let's get started. But before we jump into the specific, one may ask, what is the purpose of a lab report? So why do we need to write a lab report? It's not just about recording data. It's it's a detailed account of your experiment, analysis, and findings. So it's going to show you the detailed um account of your experiments that you do in the lab, something that you do in the lab, analysis, and also your findings. And this will help what communicate your scientific what process and discoveries. Well, let's move on to the structure of a good lab report. Let's dive into it. But before we dive into it, we'll be following a systematic format, in which case we are going to start with the cover page. So the first thing is the cover page. Begin with a clean and professional cover page. Include a title of your experiment, your name, the date, and any other required detail, right? And a neat cover page set a tone for your entire report. So what they're trying to let us know is that with the lab report, you need a cover page, and this is a detailed cover page. You need your institution. This is coming from University of Science and Technology. We need the College of Engineering, Department of Material Engineering. We have the course name, that's the laboratory name, Metallurgical Processing Laboratory. We have the instructor's name. The instructor's name is the person or the lab technician who is going to take you through the lab during the lab section. Now we have your group name, whereby you indicate your group name. You indicate your group name. We have the name of the experiment is very important. In this case, the name of the experiment is very important. And we have your supervisor. My supervisor was Engineer Dr. Emmanuel Isiata. And then you come back to your name, the name of student. In this case, the name of student is Stephen Onoma, and your index number in your submission date. Note that with the cover page, your handwriting should be neatly, and also it should cover the whole page. As you can see, this is accepted. Sometimes it's not accepted, not advised that you write without leaving space, and it could only cover this page. Now, your cover page should have a full cover, which looks like this, right? And also you have your border lines. This is just 2 centimeters. The side is it could be, it depends on the instruction from your supervisor. Mine was, is it 1 centimeters, but it depends on your instructor, right? Yes. So for the cover page, it should have your name, as in your name, the school, institution you are in, the college. This is written one. You can also use the same applies when typing, but with this, you are writing it on the A4 sheet, right? Yes. Now, after the cover page, we move on to the next one, which is very important, which is the abstract. Now, most people are confused when it comes to the abstract, right? Most people are confused when it comes to abstract. The abstract, right, is your concise summary. It should be what? It should encapsulate the essence of your experiment, objective, method, and the key findings. Keep it very brief but informative. So this is the experiment you're talking about is froth flotation. And let's read my common, and it shouldn't be more than 10 sentences, between 8 to 10 sentences, and it should be very brief. Froth flotation is a common separation process used in the mining industry to separate the valuable mineral from the gun. So in this lab report, the froth flotation of a coal was investigated using a mechanical flotation cell. So I'm just being brief to it. Now, for the abstract, most of the times before any lab experiment, we have something called the lab manual. And some of the lab manual, they have the abstract in them. What I advise you to do is that you all cannot copy the same abstract from the lab manual. It will be like a copied work. So in this case, you can generate your abstract from the lab manual. In this case, when they give you the lab manual and you have an abstract, you look at the abstract. Yeah, the abstract, you can generate it. And in this case, you can what? Paraphrase the abstract from your lab manual. And we have a powerful tool for paraphrasing, which we have the Quillbot. The Quillbot can help you with paraphrasing and also generating your abstract. You can also use some websites which you can also find some articles based on the experiment you are doing, like Google Scholar. Google Scholar can also help you with that. You find your article you are looking for, then you will look at the abstract. If the abstract is the same, you just generate abstract from it. You can also use Chat GPT. But advice I'm giving you is that with Chat GPT, you must be specific, because we have various experiments, and if you say that generate or write an abstract for froth flotation, it will write it for you. But one thing, you must be specific on the experiment you are doing, so that it generates the necessary or the required abstract that you need for that. I hope you understood that. And let's move on to the third one, which is also very important to us. Which is very important to us. The third one is the introduction and the objective. I love this part because with the introduction and objective, every lab manual has this in them, especially the objective. So the objectives is in the lab manual. Just take it and just write it. So you write your objectives. So you write your introduction. After your introduction, you go to the next page, you write your objectives, and then you just take it from the lab manual. For the introduction, is also in the lab manual, but for copied work's sake, you don't need, because you are a lot of people are using the lab manual, and in this case, if all of you are copying the same introduction from the lab manual, it will not be advisable. So in this case, as I said, you could also use what? You paraphrase from it using Quillbot, or you can also generate your own introduction using some powerful tools online, which is like Google Scholar, the Chat GPT, and the Quillbot will help you to what? Paraphrase what your introduction is in the lab manual from. So, and one thing let me be specific on is that with the introduction, it's with the introduction, right? Your introduction lays the foundation. Clearly states your objectives, your significance of the experiment, and what are you aiming to achieve. So in this case, what are you aiming to achieve? Why the experiment? Yeah. And also, please, with lab, you should include the formulas in the introduction. So every formula where you're going to use, you should include it in the introduction. Let them know the formula you are going to use. So please, your formula should include in the introduction. So every introduction, you should have your formula that is needed for that experiment should be included. Now let's move on to the theoretical background. With the theoretical background, this section establishes the scientific context of your experiment, discuss the relevant theories and principles that support your work. So we have some works or principles that support this work. You need to discuss how the principle help the experiment to take place. So most of the time the theoretical background also is in the what lab manual. Just paraphrase it from the lab manual or generate your own theoretical background and you do that. Now we move on to the materials and apparatus. With materials and apparatus, as the name goes, we list all the materials and apparatus used in what your experiment and be precise. Imagine someone wanting to replicate your experiment. This session should guide them. If someone wants to replicate your experiment, this what section should be very important because your apparatus and material that you use to what doing the experiment will help that person to also perform the same experiment. So with that to most at times most of them is in the lab manual, but sometimes too some of them is not in the lab manual. You see some of the apparatus in doing the lab work, so you should pay attention when you go to the lab so that you can get all the materials needed for the lab experiment. Then when you are writing your materials and apparatus, you need to what include them, even though they are not in the lab manual, but you include them. Let's go to the procedure. The procedure is very important on how you did your experiment. And one thing I'll tell you is that with the procedure, it should be in the past because you've done it and now you're coming to write. You see, the key thing is what? So your procedure should be in the past when you are writing your procedures. It should be in the past, but not to be in the present. Like you use is. It's wrong. So you generate all your what procedures in what in the past. If you are finding it so difficult generating your procedures in the past, what you need to do is that the procedures are in the lab manual. So in this case, when you want to generate it, you can just go to one powerful tool, which is Chat GPT, and just write it, generate the following in the past. So you just write the present, which is in the lab manual, and then Chat will generate it in the past, and you what write it. So you just look in the lab manual, you write what is there in the present, they generate in the past, and Chat will generate it in the past, and just US write what is there, right? And also you must also include the precaution of the experiment. It's very important. Whenever you write your procedure, you need to include your what? Your precaution. It also carries marks. For a perfect mark, you need to include your what? Precautions. Now let's move on to the next one, which is the experimental data. So with the experimental data and calculation evaluation, they are different things. So data, they will give you a data in which you need to calculate for. So this is something called a data sheet. So every experiment has data sheet. So in every experiment, you just look for the data sheet because you need to fill it using the calculation and evaluation. So after you've done the calculation and evaluation with the formula, you need to what fill the table. And if there's a graph that you need to produce, you produce it here with the calculation and evaluation, right? So for this, there's no graph for us to plot. Just calculate with the formula separation efficiency, and you just do it and get your separation efficiency. Then you come back to the data sheet and then you what put in it, you put your findings there. And this calculation and evaluation and experimental data will help you to generate your result and discussion. So make sure that you pay attention when doing this, because when you get it wrong, your result and discussion will also be wrong. So be careful when generating your data sheet or filling in your data sheet, right? So with this, you walk your reader through any calculation you perform based on your experiment. This is what based on your experiment, right? Yes, and it will help you to evaluate and discuss your results. I getting it. And with the data, experimental data, you present your raw data clearly. Table graphs are your best friends here. So tables. So if you have this, most of the time, if you don't have the data sheet, you can use Microsoft Word. You have Word to generate your own data sheet and add it to the what your lab report, and then you just fill in for it. It's very brief and it's very good to do that because it makes your lab report very nice, right? Yes. So we are moving on to results and discussion. After you've done your experimental data, you know that you have your findings, which is your result, and then you're going to use your result to do your what? Result and discussion. So with the result and discussion, right? With your result and discussion, what you need to do is that you combine your result and discussion. What do your findings mean, right? Relate them back to your objective. So in this case, your result and discussion, for easy way, what I advise you is that it's very good to do that, because it also gives you more ideas on how to put your result and discussion. So after you've gotten your results, what you need to do is that you can just go to that some powerful tool, which is like chat GPT, right? And just give it the right result and discussion for your result that you had. So you had experimental sample for one, the uh, separation efficiency was this, that. So write a result and discussion for that. It's going to generate it for you, but please go through it very well to see that it tallies with the experiment you are doing, and then you can just look through and generate some make some sentence from this, and you write your result and discussion. So from your experiment that you did and the data sheet and the calculation and evaluation, the answer that you had, for example, we had this, the average separation efficiency to be what? 66.67. So in this case, you can just go to this powerful tool, which is chat GPT, and just write result and discussion for fraud rotation with average separation efficiency of is it 3 samples to be 66.67. It will generate it for you, and then you look through it and just pick in the one which makes more correct, and then you come to your conclusion, right? With your conclusion, summarize your key findings. Did your results support your hypothesis? Discuss the broader implication of your experiment. Sometimes with your your experiment will give you wrong values, right? So you need to conclude that due to certain factors, this and that, you were not able to get the correct this one. But your experiment is correct, but due to your precision and accuracy, you were not able to, or wrong use of measurements or something like that, it could affect that, right? And side reactions and everything could affect your results. So you include that and then you move that. Then the last one I'm going to talk about is the reference. The referencing is very important, and in this case we want the Harvard style. So how do you do the referencing? So with the referencing, please pay attention to what I'm going to teach you. With the referencing, right? One important thing is that you should find an article which relates to what you are doing, experiment you are doing. Is very important. So me, for every lab report that I do for fraud rotation, I just go to this powerful website, and then I'll search for articles related to that, and then I'll read that if this article corresponds to the lab work I'm doing, and then I'll take in some important information from it, and after I can reference it that, oh, someone has done it before and it's this and that. So for us to do the referencing, you go to a website called Google Scholar. So you just go and you take your phone, you just search Google Scholar. Then when you search Google Scholar, you get to this. This is what you are talking about. This is the website. So this website will appear, and when it appears, what you do now is that you have a Google Scholar search, and please don't take case law but take articles, because we want articles. So you put it on articles, then you search. I set Atterberg limit of soil. So I want to read more on Atterberg limit of soil. I'm doing that experiment and I want to get more ideas on that. So after that, after reading, maybe I check the abstract. So you can read the abstract by tapping it. You can just tap it and read the abstract. If you want to download it too, we have a PDF that is at this side. Most of them, if there are some that you can download, some you cannot download. The one that is downloadable, you write PDF, then you tap it and you download it. So after doing the research, because when you search for Atterberg Limited, it's going to give you a lot of articles. So you need to go through the one you want. So you go through it and then you see the one that you want. So through it, this is what I had: correlation between surface area and Atterberg limit of fine grained soil. So I just read this and I wanted to know how they plotted their graph in this. So then after using it and then know that, oh, I've gotten some information, this is what I was talking about. This is the PDF, right? After going through this, I just tap for us to do the referencing. tap this arrow, these two arrows here, tap it like this. After tapping it, you know that there will be something called site, right? After tapping this arrow, there will be something called site, this site, and then you tap on the site. When you tap on the site, this is what will appear. You have your site like this, and what we want is that we use the article. So we want to reference the article. We have Harvard style, so this is what we want. So on your lab report, since it's written, you just go to referencing after the conclusion, and then you write your Harvard style. This is a Harvard style. You write everything, and that means that you reference it. You can take as much as 4 or 5 articles that relate to the experiment you are doing, and it will really help you to do it, right? Yes. The last one is the post lab report. Post lab. So for every lab work, there's a question related to the lab work. So the post lab report, you write your post lab, and then after writing your post lab, you solve the question under them. And most of the times, the post lab question are the question that mostly comes in the exams. So you should pay attention to the post lab and the experiment that you did. Most of the questions are from the post lab, so you should understand the post lab very well before solving it. Yeah, someone could just copy from someone, but it's not advisable to do that. You doing your own research and providing your own answer will help you to get more marks in the final exams. Now let's look at the grading system. The grading system. So marking this lab report in my department is 100%. So why must you pay attention to it? Overall organization and readability. That means that your handwriting should be very nice. Handwriting. This is handwriting. If you cannot write straight on the A4 sheet, you can try to generate some lines on it with your pencil, and you write after. You can erase them, but make it very light when doing. Make it very light on it so that you can erase very easily. So overall organization and readability. Technical writing and adherence to what? Lab report format. Abstract is 5 marks. See? Introduction to is what? 5 marks. Even the cover page itself, which is the cover page, is 10 marks. Then we come to theoretical background, which is 5 marks. We come to procedures. And please, with the procedures, include the precaution, and it should be in the past. The procedure should be in the past. Then we come to result and discussion, 35 marks. Post lab assignment, 15 marks. But result and discussion, break it down, right? We break it down because result and discussion, break it down. Then we have post lab, 15 marks. We have conclusion, 10 marks. Whatever you are doing, make sure you do it very well. Get about 80 plus, because with this lab work, getting 80 plus is very easy. You just need to follow the format and do. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope this video will guide you your lab.